Hey, this is Jen. This is our Lone Star Life. I have finished homeschool for the day with my 2 kiddos. We homeschool full-time. We've homeschooled their entire school lives, and so it's always a win when you get done by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So anyway, the kids are outside. They're having a good time riding bikes. The weather is beautiful here in Texas, so we are enjoying this early November afternoon. But I don't know about y'all, but it's like November 1st hits and you're like, oh my gosh, everything is coming up. Thanksgiving is coming up, Christmas is coming up, all the things are coming up. Veterans Day, we kind of do quite a bit in our house for Veterans Day. My husband is a veteran, and we know a lot at our church, so we always try to do and prepare for that. We do a thankful tree starting November 1st every year, and so yesterday, last night, late, I was getting our thankful tree up. I'll show you a picture of that. But anyway, it's always fun, and I love this time of year, but I get behind when it comes to cooking, and so anytime I get in the kitchen and I have time to do it, I try to get a lot of things done at once. So if you guys watch Jamarelle and her channel, I'll link her channel below, but she's got a huge channel, and she's so popular because she can really knock out multiple meals at one time. And I really like the style that she uses because she will make a list of all the steps that she has to accomplish in order to get all the meals done. So I thought I would try to do that today since I am making multiple things. I'm going to try to make dinner for tonight. I'm going to try to make an Instant Pot chicken curry for tomorrow and the rest of the week for lunches, for me at least, and then some breakfast items. So I need to do better about getting my cooking done at one time instead of cooking every breakfast, every lunch, every dinner. So I'm trying to be better about planning ahead and getting more things done in the kitchen while I'm in the kitchen versus spending all these little bits of time in the kitchen doing breakfast, lunch, dinner, breakfast, lunch, dinner. So anyway, let me show you what I'm planning to make this afternoon. Okay, so here's my list. So I'm going to make vegetable beef soup for dinner tonight. It's a super easy recipe that I've done for a long time. There's 2 beef soup recipes that we really like. One is like a beef stew, and the other one is this beef soup calls for browning ground beef. And I have one lonely package of ground beef left from our steer before we get more in the freezer, so I'm going to use it up. And it's a super quick soup, and I think it's going to be good for tonight. This Instant Pot chicken curry, it actually, the recipe, I'll show you right here. I got it from the foodieeats.com. Anyway, I had surgery in January, and this was so good during that time. And it's just a really quick curry, but instead of chickpeas, I'm just going to use some chicken that I had in my freezer. The chicken's already cooked and shredded, so we'll just do that instead. The other thing I was going to make were a couple breakfast items. So Flourless Pumpkin Bread is so good. It uses oatmeal instead of any kind of flour, and it doesn't have sugar, it just has maple syrup. So that's a really quick thing for the kids to slice up and eat in the morning. And then I thought I would go ahead and make like a sausage quiche too. And then I'll just use half of the sausage packet, and then I'll just make some patties up to go with the pumpkin bread, and so the kids can have pumpkin bread and sausage. Josh and I will have a sausage quiche. It's less carbs. Living the best life. Okay, so I've got to dice up some onion for the curry, the soup, and the quiche. I've got to chop potatoes for the soup, brown sausage, chop some spinach for the curry and the quiche, and brown some ground beef. So I think I'm going to get started. I've got all my recipes pulled out of my recipe binder and ready to go. So I'm going to grab all the ingredients for all of these recipes and see if I can't get started working on at least getting my preps done. Hi. Hi, Lincoln. What you doing in there?
Watching the show.
Oh, you're watching a show? What show are you watching?
Halloween Town.
Oh, fun.
Even if it's not Halloween yet.
Or anymore.
Anymore.
Yeah, it's over, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have fun. I'm going to make some food while you're doing that.
Ah.
Okay, I love you.
Love you. What you making?
All the things. All the things. Do you see all this onion and it makes you nervous? It's fine. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Okay. This pot that I'm using, I love it so much. This is a Lodge brand 7-quart ceramic coated like Dutch oven. Oh my goodness, it cooks so well. I bought it on Amazon. I actually looked at a bunch of them. Of course, the popular and most expensive brand is the Cuisinart, or no, I'm sorry, not Cuisinart, Le Creuset. But this one is Lodge, and I love it. It's actually held up really well, and really hasn't even stained the bottom or anything, but everything cooks so even and super good. So I'll link this in the description box, and you can check it out. But this is a 7-quart, so it makes quite a bit. My ground beef, kind of working its magic with the onions in there. To that, I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of minced garlic. I know this is just jarred, but gosh, it seems like when it's a soup, it just makes it easier. So I'm going to add, we like garlic, so a couple big good dashes of garlic just to kind of let that get going in there. And then after all that gets good and browned, I will add 2 cups. This looks dark because I've got a couple different beef broths mixed together, but I'm trying to use up what I have. So I had a container of store-bought beef broth, so I'm using up the rest of what I have, and then I have home canned beef broth, and so it calls for 3.5 cups. This is about 2 cups and whatever this is, so I'm assuming this will probably be enough. So once the meat gets finished and browned, I'll add this, and then we will add the rest of our ingredients. So tomato sauce, potatoes, spices, all of that good stuff. So stay tuned. Got everything browned. The onions are nice and translucent, and the garlic is added. I've drained the beef. Now I am going to add in the potatoes. I like to add them in first. I don't know why. I'll just add all of them. So we're going to add potatoes. This is such an easy soup. I don't know why. We have a family of 4, so we don't have a huge, oh, it's steaming up the camera. We don't have a huge family, but I don't know why I never make more of this at one time, because I know it would freeze well. So I'm also going to add in a can of just tomato sauce. The recipe calls for tomato soup, but I did not have that. And it also calls for 1 can of diced tomatoes. My kids just are not fans of tomatoes, and if they don't see a tomato in it, then they will eat it. So I'm just going to stick with the tomato sauce and go from there. So, okay, I think I'm going to go ahead and add all this beef broth. There was just a little bit left in the container from the recipe, so I mean, why not? So we're going to get that added, and then I am going to add a bay leaf, some Italian seasoning, salt and pepper. Let's see, what else does it call for? I'm going to check my recipe. Let's look. So this is the hamburger soup. Garlic, potatoes, beef broth. Oh, Worcestershire sauce. So I'm going to add a little Worcestershire, Italian seasoning, bay leaf, salt, and pepper. And then we're going to let that kind of cook so the potatoes cook. And then add in the 3 cups of mixed vegetables the last 20 minutes or so. And then that'll be done. And then I'm going to start on the Instant Pot curry, which in the Instant Pot shouldn't take any time at all. It's kind of a dump and go, and I'll show you that in a second. Our Instant Pot is hot, so it's got a little bit of oil at the bottom of it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in the onions and let them start sauteing, as well as a teaspoon of salt, And we're going to keep these going. So once the onions are sauteed, we're going to add in a tablespoon of this minced ginger. It calls for fresh, like crushed fresh ginger, but oh my gosh, I love this so much. If you like ginger, this is so good. I buy it on Amazon. I'll link that too in the description below, but it's so easy. When you need ginger in a pinch, this is great, and it lasts in your fridge forever. Okay, so to this Instant Pot, I've got the onions, I've got the ginger, the garlic, the curry powder, and a little bit of salt. And now we are going to add this 1 can of diced tomatoes. And kind of scrape up the bottom of that pot and get all that good curry powder off of there. So you can see it through the steam. So now we're going to add the 1 can of coconut milk. And then we're going to add, I'm using today shredded chicken, so I'm going to add all of that. This makes me so happy. I've got 3 meals going at one time. So our beef soup, vegetable beef soup, looks really good. The only vegetable that is in it right now are onions and potatoes, but these potatoes are almost tender, so then I'm going to add in the frozen vegetables. There's a bay leaf in there. So it's looking and smelling really good. That is easy, and we're going to eat it for dinner tonight. I have 3 minutes left on my curry. As soon as that's done, I'm going to do a quick release and add in the spinach and just let that wilt, and then that will be done, and I'll set that aside to cool and then put in containers for lunch. And then I've got the sausage that is almost good and brown. And then I'll add in some veggies and get that going for our quiche. So I'm going to add in the mushrooms and spinach. Well, maybe if I can get them all in there with one hand. I haven't mastered the art of filming yet, so bear with me. Anyways, this is going to be a nice hearty quiche. So I can't call it quiche for my husband to eat it. I have to call it like egg pie or something manly like that, because he thinks that quiche sounds like he should be going to brunch, I guess. So anyway, I think I'll add a little bit of salt and pepper to this while it's going, and then I'm going to get the veggies in here too. For this vegetable beef soup, I actually found this vegetable soup mix, frozen veggie medley from HEB, and I think I like it. It's got potatoes, carrots, peas, corn, green beans, lima beans, okra, celery, onions. I mean, everything you want, right? So I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing. Oh, it's going to add extra potatoes in there, so my kids will love that, won't they? So really, you just add it until it's got enough that you like, but this sounds like a good November meal to me. So that is what we're having for dinner. Okay, so I'm just going to let those veggies cook and put the lid back on, and then we will get these veggies ready for our quiche. I am going to go ahead and mix up the quiche and get it ready to put in the oven. Ah, listen to that. Okay, so I used 5 eggs. This is a ½ a cup of mayo. I'm going to add the mayo. It's hard to do with one hand. Then we're going to add in ½ a cup of milk, or I'm going to use half and half, and then our cheese. Here is that quiche mixture all mixed up. The only thing that I'm going to wait to do is let those veggies and sausage cool off before I add it, and then I will stick it in my pan and stick it in the oven, and that will be done. The Instant Pot curry is done, so I'm going to let that spinach get in there. I'm going to put the spinach in. Let's see what it looks like. Ooh, it looks good. Ready? Okay, so let's get this mixed up and into our quiche pan. I think it's going to be poured in one-handed. looks good. Okay, I'm on my last recipe, or at least the last recipe that I'm doing today. I'm gonna make a flourless pumpkin bread. It is so easy. It calls for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ingredients. And we actually like this bread sliced in the morning and toasted with a little bit of like pumpkin butter, peach butter, apple butter, anyway, whatever kind of butter floats your boat. So anyway, let me show you what's in it. Okay, so it calls for 1 whole can of pumpkin, baking soda, maple syrup, pumpkin pie spice, 2 cups of old-fashioned oats, and 2 eggs. So we're just going to put everything into the food processor, get it really good and blended, and then dump it into our greased bread pan. And that is it. So let me get that mixed up and I will show you what it looks like. Everything is almost done except for the pumpkin bread, but it's fixing to go in the oven. I have to run one quick errand and I don't want that in the oven while I'm gone. So I will go ahead and just leave my oven on from the quiche and pop it in when I get back. I'm just running down the road, but let me show you what I've done so far. Okay, so our soup is still going and looks delicious. So dinner is good tonight. This is the chicken curry, which I think turned out so good and so pretty. I don't know, I feel like when I eat it, it makes me feel healthy. And then this is the quiche that just came out of the oven with the mushrooms, spinach. I put some sausage crumbles in there. H-E-B sells a less fat breakfast sausage, and so when you cook it up in the pan, it's not just so fatty like some of them are. So I think it works better in this quiche because then you don't have the extra fat when you're cooking it. So I think that turned out great. That's going to be breakfast for Mom and Dad, lunches for me, dinner tonight, and then I've got our pumpkin bread ready to go in as soon as I get back from my errand. So I think that this was such a successful use of my afternoon. It is only 3:40, so I started about 1 something, so I'm happy. And then